Most people who are close to something significant are not in control of it. They are watching to see what happens, hoping the right things arrive at the right time, checking external signs for confirmation, putting in effort while remaining largely at the mercy of factors they do not fully understand. And that is a strange position to be in, given that what is coming is happening in their life, about their future, through their specific existence. You should be more than a hopeful observer of your own breakthrough. And the distance between where most people are and where they need to be is not as large as it seems, because most people are missing only a few specific pieces. When those pieces are in place, the whole picture reorganizes in a way that immediately changes how you operate. Here is what those pieces actually are. The single most important shift to make is this. Stop relating to your breakthrough as something happening to you and start relating to it as something happening through you. These two positions look nearly identical on the surface, but operate completely differently in practice. When the breakthrough is something happening to you, you are waiting, watching the situation develop, checking whether external conditions are cooperating. Your leverage in that position extends only as far as your own external effort. Everything else feels outside your authority because it is not being generated by you, it is arriving at you. When the breakthrough is something happening through you, the picture reorganizes entirely. You become the location where the breakthrough is occurring, the specific person whose participation is required for it to complete. And in that position, your leverage extends much further, into the internal conditions that determine whether the breakthrough can actually move through you. Your state, your orientation, your presence, your internal clarity. These are not peripheral factors. They are the primary ones, and they are fully within your reach in a way that external outcomes never are. This reframe changes how you feel about what you are doing and how much agency you sense over what is unfolding. Install it now before continuing. The second piece is about the distinction between what is actually within your control and what is not, and then giving full attention to what is within your control while genuinely releasing what is not. This sounds obvious. Almost nobody actually does it. What is within your control? Your state, your actions, your orientation, your attention, the internal conditions you cultivate, the relationship you have with what you are building. These are fully yours. Every unit of effort directed here produces returns. What is not within your control? The exact timing of external events, other people's responses, the precise form the breakthrough takes when it arrives. You have influence over these things, sometimes considerable influence, but not control. And exhausting yourself trying to control them is effort that could have gone somewhere it actually produces results. The practice is specific. Every time you notice yourself expending effort on something outside your actual control, catch it and redirect. Worrying about when things will arrive, redirect that into full presence with your current work. Trying to force a particular response from someone, redirect that into clarity about your own next action. Trying to predetermine the exact form of what is coming, redirect that into genuine openness to what actually arrives. Done consistently, this concentrates your effort where it produces returns and stops it from dissipating where it does not. If this is reaching you at a real moment in the run-up to something significant, there is a link in the description where you can support this project. What has been given toward it freely, from genuine resonance rather than obligation, is what makes it possible to keep reaching people with exactly this kind of material. That door is there if it ever calls to you. The third piece is about how you use the time before the breakthrough, because you are not in the breakthrough yet. You are in the run-up to it. And how you spend the run-up largely determines what the breakthrough becomes when it arrives. Most people waste the run-up by treating it as dead time, an inconvenient gap between where they are and where they want to be. Something to endure rather than use. This is a significant mistake because the run-up is actually the most valuable window you have. It is when you can still actively shape what the breakthrough will be. Every day between now and the arrival, You have specific opportunities to strengthen the conditions of what is coming. You can develop the capacities the breakthrough will require, so you are more ready to hold it when it arrives. You can clarify your direction so that when opportunities appear, you can immediately recognize which ones actually fit and which are distractions. You can build the foundation the breakthrough needs to land on, because a breakthrough that arrives to an unprepared foundation has to also build the foundation while trying to be a breakthrough, which is far more difficult. The specific practice. Identify one thing each day that makes your eventual breakthrough more likely to be large rather than small, sustainable rather than fleeting, genuinely yours rather than a compromised version of what it could have been. Not vague improvement. Specific action that raises the ceiling of what is coming. This done consistently across the run-up dramatically changes what the breakthrough can become. The fourth piece is about the internal state you maintain during this period, because your state directly affects what your breakthrough is capable of being. Most people carry a state of anxious hope through the run-up, anxious about whether it will happen, hopeful that it will. This state is exhausting, and it broadcasts a quality that affects what you attract and what you can receive. Anxious hope fluctuates. It produces decisions that reflect fear as much as vision. Breakthroughs that arrive to anxious hope tend to be smaller and less fully what they were meant to be. The state to cultivate is confident readiness. Confident that the breakthrough is coming without needing to know exactly when or how. Ready to receive it fully without being desperate about the timing. This state is stable. It produces decisions that reflect vision rather than fear. Breakthroughs that arrive to confident readiness tend to be larger and cleaner. The practice, several times each day, check your state. If you notice anxious hope, acknowledge it without judgment, then deliberately shift by reminding yourself of two things. First, the breakthrough is coming because you have set the conditions that produce breakthroughs, and those conditions produce their results reliably. Second, you are prepared to receive whatever specific form the breakthrough takes, because you have been developing that capacity throughout the run-up. This double reminder, repeated consistently, gradually shifts your default state from anxious hope to confident readiness. And that shift affects what becomes possible. The fifth piece is about how you handle the moments of doubt that will inevitably arise, because they will. No one moves through a significant run-up without them. The question is not whether doubt will come. It is what you do when it does. Most people treat doubt as significant information. They think that if they are doubting, perhaps they should reconsider their direction. So they entertain the doubt, argue with it, try to resolve it, spend hours or days in the internal debate. All of that time is time spent outside confident readiness, and the state of doubt affects what happens. Here is what to do instead. When doubt arrives, recognize it as a temporary internal weather pattern, not as information about your direction, but as information about your current state. Doubt in the run-up to a breakthrough almost always reflects your level of tiredness or your current exposure to challenging input. It reflects you, not the reality of what is coming. So notice it, acknowledge it without arguing with it, and return your attention to the practices that produce your intended state. Do not try to resolve the doubt. Simply do not act on it. Let it pass, and it will pass because doubt is temporary, and return to confident readiness as your baseline. The specific practice, when you notice doubt, say to yourself that this is temporary and is not information about your direction. Then physically shift, move, breathe differently, change your environment, so that the physical shift supports the internal one. This done consistently keeps doubt from doing the damage it usually causes during run-ups. The link in the pinned comment is there for anyone who wants to support this work. Given freely, only when it genuinely resonates. That is the only spirit in which it belongs. The sixth piece is about privacy, and I want to give you the specific aspect most people miss. Maintaining privacy during this phase is not primarily about keeping secrets from others. It is about maintaining the concentration of your own attention on what you are building. When you talk about what you are building, you are not just giving information to others. You are dispersing your own attention. You are creating additional copies of the thing in shared reality, each of which now requires some of your attention to maintain, explain, and manage. The more copies exist externally, the less concentrated your attention on the actual work can be. Privacy in the run-up is a practice of concentrated attention. Keep the number of externally maintained copies of your breakthrough as close to zero as you can. Not because sharing is wrong, but because sharing dilutes the concentration the breakthrough requires at this stage. When you feel the urge to share, ask whether sharing serves the breakthrough or dilutes the attention it needs. In the run-up phase, sharing almost always dilutes. Redirect that urge into deeper private engagement. Write about it for yourself. Think about it more thoroughly. Give it more of your undivided attention, rather than dispersing that attention outward. The seventh and final piece is about recognizing when the breakthrough is actually arriving, because most people miss the beginning of the arrival while looking for something more dramatic than what actually shows up. They are looking for external confirmation when the arrival is often felt internally first. They are looking for a moment that unmistakably announces itself when the arrival is usually a series of smaller shifts that only in retrospect can be seen as the actual beginning. Here is what to actually look for. The arrival of a breakthrough tends to feel first like a shift in the quality of your inner experience. Things become slightly easier. Options that were not visible become visible. Doors that felt stuck begin to move. Your own sense of forward momentum returns after a period of feeling like nothing was changing. These small shifts, none of which look like an unmistakable breakthrough on their own, are the arrival, not the crescendo of it, but the actual beginning. Recognizing them as such lets you engage with the arrival rather than continuing to wait for it while it is already happening. The practice. At the end of each day, notice whether small shifts of this kind occurred. Not to measure progress anxiously, but to develop your capacity to recognize the arrival when it begins. If these small shifts start appearing consistently, you are not still waiting. You are in the arrival phase. Treating it as the arrival phase, engaging with it actively, rather than continuing to treat it as waiting, is what allows you to participate in the breakthrough as it actually unfolds. You now have the specific pieces. Reframe from something happening to you into something happening through you. Direct effort into what is within your actual control and genuinely release what is not. Use the run-up to build the conditions and capacities the breakthrough requires, one specific action per day. Cultivate confident readiness as your baseline and return to it after moments of doubt without letting doubt shift your foundational orientation. Maintain the privacy that keeps your attention concentrated on the work, and develop the capacity to recognize the arrival when it begins so you can engage with it rather than waiting past it. These pieces do nothing as information. They do everything as practice. What produces the shift I described at the beginning is the actual implementation of these principles, starting now and continued consistently. The breakthrough is yours to shape. You have what you need. Use it.